Thank you for joining us for ONLA webinars. We've got a fantastic webinar for you today. We have Chad from Vermeer Great Plains talking about all things equipment. So Chad, take it away.
Thank you, Summer. My name is Chad with Vermeer Great Plains here in Oklahoma City. I'm the environmental sales specialist for the Vermeer line, and I deal with the mini skids, stump grinders, brush chippers, things like that. Today, I just wanted to talk to you about some of the benefits of our equipment, mainly the Vermeer CTX 160, which is a new machine for us, but it's been a very good machine, very hard machine, and so far people that have bought it have really liked it. So I'm gonna go over some specs with you, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to type them in, and I'll ask them as we go, answer them as we go. So let's get started. So Vermeer CTX 160, it is a 3,850 pound machine is what the machine weighs, with no attachments or anything like that. The operating capacity is 1,600 pounds, and what that means is with a 175 pound man on the back of the machine, when the machine is raised all the way up to its full lifting height, it'll take 1,600 pounds before it starts to tip forward. So overall lifting is probably about 3,000 pounds just off the ground. The ground pressure, this machine is a 9-inch track machine only. Our other machines, the 925 and the CTX 100, you can get it with a 7-inch track to have the overall width down to 36 inches. But this machine is a 9-inch track only, so you're at 42 inches wide. That's just the machine. So if you put on a wider bucket, wider attachment, you'll be over that 42 inches width. The length of the machine is 116 inches, height is 59, and width is, like I said, 42. So the hinge pin height, which is a very interesting point for some of the guys, is how high the machine will go. Will it go in the back of a dump truck? Will it, lift pallets of sod or whatever to a certain height? That hinge pin height is 88 3/4 inch. So that's when it's raised all the way up. Your dump point would be at 88.75 or 88 3/4. So ground clearance, that's the bottom of the machine, is 6 3/4 off the ground. Your fuel capacity is 14.5 gallons. When it comes to fuel capacity, our machines are designed to run 8 hours a day at full RPM without having to fill up. So that's why you see a bigger fuel tank on our machines. The hydraulic fluid is 12 gallons. Your hydraulic high flow, which that high flow controls a trencher attachment, a Harley rake, a vibratory plow, things like that. The high flow rate is 16.7, and the low flow rating is 9.4. So 9 of the low flow would be like a grapple bucket, log grapple, things like that. So your transport speed forward is 4.5 miles an hour. Reverse is 3.1. Some people have asked why we slower going backwards. With our machines, it does have to do with safety. Vermeer is very safety oriented, and so we keep our reverse speed slower than our forward speed, because going backwards, you don't know what you're going to hit, anything like that. So the slower the better. Backwards is what we look at. So the engine is a 40 horsepower Kohler diesel. These Kohler diesels have been, bulletproof. They are by far the best engine, in my opinion, that we put in all of our machines. That machine is ran in our CTX 160 and our CTX 100. Like I said before, it's a 42-inch wide with 9-inch tracks. This unit is designed to get through standard residential gates. Over time, the standard has been moved from 36 to 42. However, if you do have a 36-inch gate and you got this machine, you will have to take down a fence panel. The hydraulic power, like I said, for your high and low flow is 16.7 and 9.4. Our unit is equipped with a multi-function display. It's a round display that sits in the console where your operator station is, to where you can see your readout, engine hours, oil pressure, coolant temp, engine diagnostics, things like that. We have pilot control ground drives, which is a single joystick for each movement, which is your drive and then your bucket operation. So you have both your hands on both controls instead of having multiple for drive and then one for your bucket operation. So it's a little bit simpler, a little bit easier to use. Equipped with a dedicated spring cushion platform with operator presence system. So what that is when you stand on our platforms are a chariot style platform. So when you you're basically standing in the machine. You've got sides on both sides of you, and then you also have a spring loaded platform. So when you step on that machine, it senses operator there, so it allows the machine to move, operate, all your hydraulics, things like that. If you stand off the machine or you get thrown off the machine, that sensor does not sense an operator, so it automatically shuts down all functions of the machine. Machine will not move, no hydraulics or anything like that. So it's a safety. Like I said, Vermeer is very safety oriented, so it's a safety mechanism to keep the operator safe. The CTX 160 comes standard with dual auxiliary hydraulic controls for high and low flow. So that you have one side for your high flow and then one side for your low flow. That's standard on our machines. A lot of other vendors, it'll be an option. You can get the low flow and the high flow for another price or vice versa, but it is standard on all of our machines. The ISO rated operating capacity is 1,600 pounds, which is a lot of weight for such a small machine. Our machines are equipped with the universal mini skid steer mounting plate. So what that means is you can buy any attachment, whether it be from Vermeer, a Ditch Witch, Boxer, a Toro, anything like that from any of the vendors, and it'll fit on our machines or vice versa. Buy our machines, buy their attachments or buy their machines and our attachments, it will fit. The reason we do that is we want to give our customers the most flexibility possible. So if they are working out of state or somewhere else, then they don't have to buy a Vermeer piece. They can go and get whatever they need anywhere. So it's very easy to hook up and very easy to use. The boom geometry on the 160 has a vertical lift. And what that allows for is to get further away from the machine for better dumping into a truck or loading a pallet on a, platform of some sort. Just makes it easier to load and unload all your material. So a little bit about the engine itself. It's a Kohler KDI 1903 TCR turbocharged diesel, which is a 40 horsepower turbo diesel. Our other machines that are running our 25 horsepower diesels, our 925s, they're a non-turbo, naturally aspirated. So that turbo gives you that extra power, just like with the truck with the turbo, just gives you that little extra power when you need it. Our engines are Tier 4 compliant, so they use the EGR, exhaust gas recirculation, and a DOC for the after treatment. However, it does not use a DEF fluid of any kind. Just for future reference, anything below 75 horsepower or above 750 horsepower does not require DEF. So depending on what machine you're looking at, if it is diesel, 74 horsepower, 75 and below, no issues with the DEF fluid or anything like that. This engine is used in the various Vermeer products, such as the ATX 850 compact loader, our CTX 100 mini skid, our SC 552 and 552 stump grinder, and 8x12 navigator horizontal directional drill. So this next slide. We've got a picture of the engine. As you can see, each side of the engine has a cover. Those covers are removable with no bolts of any kind. They just pop out for easy access to both sides of the engine with the hood that raises up. So you have adequate room to get in there and work on it, do whatever you need to. So it's a very compact machine, but it's got a lot of features to get in there and work on it. This KDI engine uses a cartridge oil filter. Unlike a spin-on, this cartridge oil filter is easy to pull the top or the bottom, uh, probably the bottom, to get the cartridge out. That way you can clean your cap out and then put a new cartridge in. A lot better system, in my opinion, than their screw-on filter. Your oil dipstick is labeled by the yellow handle to be more visible. And then the oil drain is located on the base of the engine on the machine. And then you have a drain plug, remote plug that is on that machine, or on that drain plug, excuse me. So just a few more things about this engine. This engine does have a standard limited warranty of 3 years or 2,000 hours for 100% parts and labor coverage. So if anything happens to this engine within that first 3 years or 2,000 hours, it's fully covered, parts and labor. In addition, the engine warranty covers the major components, which are heads, rods, pistons, block, things like that, for up to 6,000 hours under the 3-year initial period. So very, very good warranty. Most engine manufacturers are doing a 3-year warranty now. Our machines, the machine itself, comes standard with a 1-year, 1,000-hour warranty. You do have the option of purchasing up to a 3-year warranty to match the engine. And both of those would cover parts and labor. And it would also include 4 service intervals, 250, 500, 750, and 1,000-hour service. So that is an option that we do offer. And while the machine is here getting those services, we can do a complete machine inspection, try to catch something before something happens. That way we'll be down for less time so you guys can get back to work. So the dimensions we kind of briefly touched on, 42 inches wide, 9-inch track. On this machine, on the 160, the 9-inch track is the only track size available. We do not offer a 7-inch track size for this machine. The minimum length is 92.5, maximum length is 116, and the overall footprint is 3885 inches squared. So as you can see in the picture, this machine has a pallet of raised stone for flower beds. This machine will pick up that whole pallet and move it around, no problem at all. So getting into some of the capacities, the machine weighs 450 pounds more than our CTX 100, giving it a lift to weight ratio of 0.42 compared to 0.30 for the CTX 100. So as you can see by the numbers, it's quite a bit heavier, so it's going to lift more weight just for ease of moving different materials around on the job site. Next slide we have would be the on the tracks, the upper and lower mainframe design of the machine. The design with a hydraulic tank built into the lower mainframe of the machine. So the hydraulic tank is actually part of the machine. It is not sitting on the back or up on the front or anything like that. It's actually part of the machine. So it kind of gives you a little bit more stability, less tank for it to go bad to where you have to replace it, things like that. The weights are located at the rear of the machine that add roughly 450 pounds of weight to help increase the operating capacity. These cast weights also help protect the rear of the machine and fuel tanks from damage. So as you can see in the picture, fuel tank is right in this area. And with that weight sitting right there, if you bump into something, you're going to hit the weights before you can hit the fuel tank or even yourself. So that's another safety oriented design that makes our machines one of the safest in the industry. So as we discussed briefly, the loader arm geometry is a vertical style loader arm. This is in comparison to the radial style loader found on our 925. The vertical style loader arm geometry is typically better suited for loading trucks and trailers at full height, as the hinge pin is further away from the front of the machine. So if you have a smaller machine like the 925 and you go to raise it full, up is how it'll go, you don't have that material set further out, so you will end up bumping into a side of a truck or a side of a trailer or something like that. So This style, the vertical style, will raise the material almost more of a straight up angle than more of a coming straight back. So it's just a, helps a lot with loading and unloading on the trucks. Uh, the loader arm geometry design also keeps the load closer to the machine and the machine center of gravity throughout the path of lift, which can help increase the capacity through the out the path of travel. The vertical lift geometry found on the 160 uses sets of linkage arms which control the path of loader arm travel. Uh, vertical style loader arm geometry. Looks like this is the so our loader arms, our loader arms have a 3-year, 3,000-hour warranty. So if anything happens to anything on those loader arms, the frame, the cylinder, anything like that, it is covered for 3-year, 3,000 hours. Our the that is in combination with our 1-year warranty. So for the machine itself, like I said, 1-year, 1,000 hours, but the loader arms and cylinders is 3-year, 3,000 hours. So our loader arms at the factory go through rigorous testing, and they go through 100 cycles of 4-way motion on the application testing stand before they're even put on the machine. So these things go through a lot of abuse at the factory before they're even put on the machine. So that's why we're able to offer that 3-year, 3,000 hours warranty, because we're confident that there are not going to be any issues. Customers of Vermeer mini skid steers can have confidence in the loader arms and in the frames of their machines being durable to withstand tough job site conditions. Uh, we've updated the 160 to larger diameter lift and tilt cylinders over the 100. These cylinder features are increased column load in response to the increased capacity. So this cylinder right here on the 160, if you happen to look at a 100, you'll see a difference in the size. That is to ultimately help with the more lifting capacity on the 160. The tilt cylinder also adds increased breakout force when using a bucket for digging. So this cylinder as well has been increased in size and durability. So now we're going to get into some specs on your fluid capacity. The CTX 160 has more high flow auxiliary hydraulic power than previous mini skid steers in our line and maintains a 9.4 GPM low flow hydraulic power. So like I said a little while ago, your 9.4 on your low flow and your high flow is 16.7. So also when you're looking at hydraulic attachments, whether it be from us or another vendor, if you have a different brand of machine, whether it be Ditch Witch, Toro, whatever, and you're looking at say a Blue Diamond or Bradco or some attachment like that, you want to make sure that the GPM of that attachment is going to be in line with your machine. If you buy an attachment that is rated for less than what your machine will put out, you will end up tearing up that attachment quicker because that attachment is only built for say 15 and you got a 16.7. You're putting too much pressure on that attachment. Our machines are designed to go with our attachments, so our GPM on our attachment matches our machines. Just something to think about down the road if you guys come across something like that. So in this picture, this is this high and low flow on the machine, the connections. If you look at the differences of the sizes of lines, these are a lot thicker. These are a lot thinner. So this is your low flow side, which you'll use a log grapple, grapple bucket, grapple rake, things like that on this side. And then you use your trencher attachment, Harley rake, vibratory plow, things like that on this side. The high flow bank features a third smaller connection for attachments that may utilize a case drain auxiliary connection. We do not have any attachments that utilize that, but I do know there is some out there. So that's why we put that, build it into hydraulic connections just in case somebody has to have one like that. To distinguish between the high and low flow, note the larger sizes of the flow lines, which we just discussed. The auxiliary hydraulic controls on the Vermeer mini skid are color coded with yellow handles. So those handles are this one right here. This is for your high flow. So to engage that, I call this a detent. So when you put it in, you push it forward, it stays in the forward position, or you push it backwards, it stays in the backwards position. This yellow handle right here is for your low flow, and I call that a momentary because when you pull it to you and let go, it goes right back to where it's positioned right now. Same thing, if you push it forward, it's going to go, once you let go, it's going to go back. That's why I call it a momentary or a detent. And like I said, this would be the handle for the grapple bucket, log grapple, and then this would be the handle for your trencher attachment, hardy rake, and so forth. So there's another picture. So our CTX 160 uses a 4-pump hydraulic system which stacks off the engine to power a pair of hydrostatic ground drive pumps and a tandem gear pump. So every machine out there is going to have a pump stack. It just depends on how big of a pump they put on there as to your how much horsepower your engine's going to use. Our pumps and pump stacks are designed in tandem with the engine, so we get the most horsepower out of our engine and our hydraulics to get you guys the best operation in the field. Each one of those stacks controls an individual track drive, which you have a ground drive motor on each side, and then you have tandem gear pumps for the loader arms, the tilt cylinder, and the auxiliary hydraulic functions. This is a proven design that is standard across all Vermeer mini skid steer models. So we run Parker pumps. These have been a very good manufacturer and very good partner with Vermeer. We've gone from, CTX 160 skid steer runs the Polklane hydrostatic ground drive pumps paired with the Polklane 20.2 cubic inch displacement axial piston ground drive motors. So before we were using a Parker G-rotor ground drive motor at the launch of the 100, but over time we found that these axial piston ground drive motors were better. So we actually installed them in our 100s and been using them in our 160s, and they have just turned out to be a great pump. They give you more power into a pile of dirt, moving around heavy pallets. These Parker axial piston ground drive motors have been a big improvement in our hydraulic system. So on the track design, our tracks are just kind of your normal looking tracks with the cleats for your sprockets to engage with on the inside of the track. There's steel bar and steel corded design coated in rubber composite covering that provides durability and elasticity. Those tracks have an aggressive straight lug design, which can aid in tractive effort when digging into a pile of rock, mulch, or soil. We do have available a less aggressive tread for more, yard applications, to where you're not tearing up the yards as bad. Honestly, any kind of track, no matter what it is, you're gonna have issues. Some soil disturbance, grass disturbance, stuff like that. This design right here will not be near as bad as the original, most common tracks that we put on our machines. So we can get this track, even if you have a current machine now, Vermeer machine, we can get this track from the factory. So the track frame on the CTX 160 features a similar design to the 100 and 925 mini skid steers that allows more debris to shed from the open track frame, helping reduce recirculation and increase wear in the system. So what that means is we're a self-cleaning system. So our machine, when wearing dirt and rock and material, when we start moving, these rollers and the way our tracks are designed, it pushes everything out to the outside or outside of the rollers, whether it be on the inside of the track or the outside of the track, just to keep all material away from those rollers and keeps the wear down significantly. The track rollers and oilers are a mechanical face seal oil bath design that keep bearings lubricated and debris out of the bearings. So these rollers, they do not have grease zerks. You do not have to grease these rollers. Like I said, they're oil bath. If they do go bad, they're replaced. We have an automatic parking brake. So like I mentioned earlier about our operator platform, when you step on that platform, the operator presence recognizes the operator. It pulls that park pin in to where the machine can be, driven and operated. Once you get off the machine, that pin automatically kicks out, and as you can see, it locks the sprocket from moving. So keeps that machine from rocking back and forth, while you're off of it, doing something, moving a material or anything like that. A grease fitting is located at the pin to maximize service life on the cylinder and pin. So this is a greasable part that you do have to maintain to keep it working order. The track tension on any mini skid or skid steer is by far the most important thing, period. If you do not keep the tension correct, the wear will be increased and you'll cut down the life of the track significantly. So I try to tell my customers and give them an option of, hey, if you want some training or knowledge, please call me. I'll come out, go over with you the proper procedure for tensioning them and, checking the tension, things like that to try to help maximize that. So the 160s on all of our machines are tensioned by a spring located at the front of the track frame. Each machine comes with a gauge located in an operator manual to assist in proper track tension. When inserted to slots on the side of the track frame, the gauge demonstrates the proper length of spring needed for proper tension. So if you look at the picture over here on the right, there's a bolt back here and then another one. You take this little bolt out, you take this flange off, and that bolt right there is what adjusts the spring inside here for your tension. You can loosen it, put more tension on it with that bolt right there. This is a non-greasing system. On some of your other bigger skid steers or dozers, any track machine, they use a grease system. We use a mechanical bolt with the spring. The gauge, you put the gauge in these square pieces right here. It's kind of like a feeler gauge for a spark plug or anything like that. You put that in there, it'll touch the spring. So if that tells you, yes, it's adjusted correctly, or if it doesn't touch, but it's behind it, or it doesn't touch and it's in front of it, then if you need to loosen or tighten up the tracks. Just a good way to help keep the track tension correct and maintained. So as with most units of any kind of unit, whether it be a skid steer, backhoe, anything that has booms, we do have a red lockout bar for the lift cylinders when fully raised to help keep that boom from coming down on its own. All boom machines have that for safety, should have that. If not, then that is something to definitely look at. Even if you have a used machine and you don't have that bar, I would definitely suggest trying to find one. It's just a good safety option to have when you have the boom up, because you have to get the boom up in order to get into your engine compartment to do services and things like that. So with the arms fully raised and locked, the hood can be opened, and on both side shields can be removed without tools for increased access to the engine. Removing 6 bolts will allow the front black panel to come off, giving you increased access to a hydraulic pump. So with everything, this raised hood off, both these panels and that front piece, that's everything off and out of the way to where you get to anything in this engine compartment that you need to get to. The CTX 160 features a new hood latch design, which with holes for locking the engine compartment. This latch was implemented due to customer request. That's one thing I will say about Vermeer is they do listen to the customer's request. Um, we try to get as much information from our customers and pass that along to the factory so they can make these changes that you guys on the field are looking for to make it easier on you to do things quicker and easier. The 160 also has a remote positive battery pole shown on the right side of the unit, which is right here. Along with the left rear of the machine is a hole for priming fuel through the diesel filter if needed. So on the battery post, if you have a dead battery, instead of pulling all this stuff out of the way, trying to raise this thing mechanically, they put this port out here to where you can hook your battery, positive battery jumper cable to this and then ground the other end of the cable to preferably not on the machine, but if you can ground it somewhere to where you can get this thing jumped off and don't have to worry about getting inside the engine compartment. And then if you do have to prime the fuel system for whatever reason, you have an access hole to get in there and prime that system. Also on the operator platform, the external radiator shielding can be removed without tools for maintenance and cleaning. So that's another piece that just pulls up to where you don't have to have tools of any kind. The panel with an air shock gives access to the hydraulic oil filter, radiator fuel, a 12-volt plug, so that way you can run your cell phone or listen to music while you're working. Wouldn't suggest suggest your phone being on the machine because you may drop it and run over it, and then you'd be pretty upset. No, I would be. 12-volt plug shown, the fuse box and other control station service and maintenance points. So when you open this, you have access to your hydraulic filter, your overflow radiator, and then all your lines to your filter. And then your fuses over here. That's a very easy access point and very easy troubleshooting, especially if you have a machine that won't start. Open that up, check your fuses. You may have a fuse blown. It's right there. Don't have to go trying to pull panels or anything like that to get it, get that replaced. The CTX 160 features a similar chariot style operator platform to other Vermeer mini skid steers. So the benefit of the chariot style platform is that, as you can see in the picture, he's standing inside the machine. On other manufacturers, it's a wide open platform and the front of the machine is up here. So what that does is on one of those other manufacturers, if you are out working and you make a turn and there's a tree right here and you bump into that tree, the chances are you're going to hit that, you yourself is going to hit that tree before the machine does, which can cause you harm, hurt you pretty bad. We don't want that. So we made this chariot style and it's flared at the top for a little bit more clearance. Also in there in that chariot, we put padding on each side and up at the front to where you can lean on each side when you're driving, bouncing up and down on rough terrain, things like that, to where it's more of a comfort for the operator. This style right here, chariot style, is, to me, it's the safest system out in the market these days. And I mean, I just can't express how big of an issue that is. And it may not seem like something, but trust me, you hit a tree and you bust your leg open or whatever, you'll be wondering, why didn't I get that chariot style machine? The spring cushion platform is built with a operator presence system that disables hydraulic functions when the operator steps off the machine. Like I said earlier, you step off, all hydraulic function is disabled. Machine will not move. Boom will not go up, anything like that. Let's see, a new isolator was implemented into the design of the 160. The isolator was designed to increase comfort for the operator when transporting over rough job sites. So what that isolator does is it's basically a shock absorber for the platform. So it reduces the rigidity of that platform. So when you're running over rough terrain, it's not trying to buck you off like a bucking bronco. And like I said, the Chariot style operator station has front and side cushions to allow increased operator comfort. Um, Believe me, those padding, it's a big help. Makes you a lot more comfortable in that machine. So here's a layout of our uh, control system. And down here, this round piece, that's the multifunction display that I mentioned earlier. You have arrows where you can arrow down or up from your coolant, oil, hours, engine codes, and so on. This was your high flow hydraulics. This is your low flow hydraulics. This is your bucket control for uh, curl up and down, motor or boom, raise and lower. Also on our boom system, we have a float control. So the way that is initialized is you take this boom control and you push it all the way to all the way forward, and you get into a detent position, and it allows this boom to float on the ground. So whatever if your machine is diving in the front, when you dive into that hole, that bucket is going to follow you. So it doesn't keep the bucket in one position. That's a pretty neat feature when you're doing some grading work, things like that. Your black handle is for your drive control. The drive control is pretty much like a dozer, dozer controls. So what that means is if you want to turn the machine back to the left, you pull back this direction. If you want to pull the machine back to the right, you pull it back in this direction. So pretty close to the old dozer controls. Right here's your ignition switch. It does have a cover on it, so when you pull your key, the cover flips down, covers that ignition switch from getting dirt, water, anything like that that's from sitting outside. I know most people leave their machines on a job site or just parked in their yard. That's just to help keep that dirt and debris and water and things like that out of there. So an indicator light for an optional engine block heater is located to the left of the multi-function display found in the center of the operator station. The handlebar is equipped with foam grips, offers stability to operators while maintaining the ability to use machine functions. Those foam grips are really nice. So if you're operating the machine for a very long time, your hands don't get as tired because that foam is absorbing the vibration of the machine. So that helps a lot. Finally, the electronic throttle switch is located on the right side of the operator station. So this right here, this little button is your throttle. So when you start this machine, it'll tell you wait to throttle, and it won't. If that's a wait to throttle signal is on, it won't let you idle no matter what you do. Once that goes away, you just take that button and just push it forward and hold it down, and it'll idle up to its max RPM. Or if you just want to bump the idle up just to move it around a little bit, you can just click it one time and it'll bump it up about 400 or 500 RPM. So we discussed all that. This is a picture of our plate, the mini skid steer attachment mounting plate. It's got two pins, one that pull up and pull and twist to where you can drop it down into the hole down there on the attachment. So that's 180 degrees to lock and unlock the attachment manually. There are many attachments available for our mini skids. Um, there's a rotary broom, a scrap grapple bucket, soul renovator, Harley rake, land leveler. Uh, the options are almost unlimited of what attachments you can get for these machines. Auger motors, forks, buckets, um, concrete breakers. Like I said, the trencher attachment is probably the most common. A lot of irrigation guys, that's what they use is these mini skids with the trencher attachment, so they can have multiple machines on one job site. So that's that is a big part of why we have the high flow and low flow hydraulics on our machine that comes standard. So this is just a portion of what attachments are available from Vermeer. You see the narrow bucket, 36-inch, mulch bucket, standard bucket, tooth bucket, rock bucket. I mean, there's multiple uh, attachments out there. Um, the Harley rake, the Harley rake is a soil conditioner. And I know a lot of you guys have probably heard of that on the bigger machines. Don't know if you guys have used them, but they work really well for getting your seed bed ready for fresh grass. If you want to just seed it instead of sodding, this works really well for getting that bed prepped. Um, then we have a mower. The mower attachments that we use is like a brush cutter attachment. Works really well, really well. We'll take a up to a 4-inch tree um, and cut it down. I don't advise hitting trees all day long with it, but it does work. Um, so something to think about there. Tiller attachment, tree forks, uh, a hydraulic rotating log grapple, which you most of the log grapples you'll see are manual on the rotation. We do offer a hydraulic to where the machine does all the work. It rotates the grapple for you, opens it, to where you don't have to get off the machine at all. So there are multiple avenues for a log grapple. Uh, the vibratory plows are getting to be popular for the irrigation companies. Instead of doing an open trench, they have these vibratory plows. They hook onto you hook onto the product with the vibratory plow and pull the product in instead of doing an open trench and going back and reburying it. So that's vibratory plows have become real popular in the irrigation side. Something to think about on that. So I just want to say thank you for letting me do this and just kind of going over some of the high points of our machines. We are very customer oriented and feel like that we do what we can to make the customers more efficient, save you guys some money, keep your downtime at a minimum, and just really appreciate the opportunity to visit with you guys today. If you have any questions, feel free to look up Vermeer.com, look at all of our machines. If you have any questions for me, my name is Chad Scruggs of Vermeer Great Plains in Oklahoma City. You can find us online. And like I said, we'll just come see us and we'll definitely get you guys taken care of. So, Summer, was there any questions from anybody that I can answer or?
All right. Well, thank you so much, Chad, for the great presentation.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry, I kind of went over a few things multiple times, but those are things that I felt like
Yeah, all great information.
Yeah, just want everybody to know that our machines are built for the customer.
All right, and if anyone has any questions later, they're welcome to contact you through Vermeer's website. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us for ONLA webinars. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.